After spending 9 hours driving my mother-in-law to her dialysis appointments all week, I came home to my wife getting drunk with her friends on the porch. One of them smirked and said, "He's like a dog, obedient, pathetic, and too dumb to run away." My wife laughed so hard she spilled her wine and added, "Don't insult dogs, at least they're loyal and useful." They all laughed like hyenas. I got angry and went to bed early. 3 weeks later, she was screaming at my sister's door in the rain, begging for a second chance. Look, y'all, I'm not usually one for airing out my dirty laundry online, but my head's been spinning like a stripped bolt for the past few days, and I need to get this off my chest. Maybe typing it out will help me figure out if I'm overreacting or if the gasket's really blown on my marriage. Some background. Been married to Denise for 8 years now. Both 34, no kids. Thank God for small mercies right about now. Things were decent enough until recently. Not perfect, but whose marriage is? We had our ups and downs like a piston, but I always thought we were on the same team. My mother-in-law, Ramona, got diagnosed with kidney failure 3 months back. Tough situation. Her dialysis schedule is brutal. 3 mornings a week starts at 5:30 a.m. at a clinic. That's a 45-minute drive from her place. Denise works these corporate hours that just can't be adjusted, according to her. So I've been the one taking time off to drive Ramona. Not complaining about helping family, but it's been rough on the sleep schedule, you know? This past week was especially tough. Ramona caught some kind of bug, so I ended up driving her to extra appointments, totaling about 9 hours of driving plus all the waiting room. By Friday, I was running on fumes like an old truck on its last drop of diesel. So Friday evening rolls around. I pull into our driveway around 7:30 p.m. after dropping Ramona off. First thing I notice is Denise's friend Bridget's car, plus two others I recognize from her work happy hours. No big deal. Figured they were hanging out while I was gone. I'm dragging myself toward the house when I hear them all laughing on the back porch. Our bedroom window was open, so I figured I'd grab a quick shower before joining them. That's when I heard it. Bridget was talking about how I jumped when Denise asked me to take her mom again tomorrow. Then she goes, "He's like a dog, obedient, pathetic, and too dumb to run away." Y'all, the blood in my veins turned to coolant. I froze halfway through taking off my boots. Then I heard my wife laugh so hard she must have spilled something, because she cursed and then said, "Don't insult dogs. At least they're loyal and you." The whole porch erupted in laughter like a bunch of hyenas who found something real funny about the guy who'd been up since 4 a.m. helping her sick mother. I stood there for a solid minute, just processing. 8 years of marriage, and that's what she really thinks of me? That I'm some pathetic mutt she's got trained to do her bidding? Look, I'm not gonna lie. My first instinct was to storm out there and flip that whole porch table with their wine glasses and cheese plate, but something inside me just went cold and mechanical, like when a hot engine suddenly gets doused with cold water and everything just hardens. I quietly finished taking off my boots, went upstairs, and took the longest shower of my life. When I came down, I just said I was exhausted from driving Ramona around all week and was heading to bed early. Denise barely acknowledged me, just waved her wine glass in my direction and went back to her conversation. That night I laid there staring at the ceiling fan, watching it spin round and round like my thoughts. Remembered all the little comments, the eye rolls when I'd talk about my day, the way she'd interrupt me when I was mid-sentence to show her friend something on her phone. 3:27 a.m., and I'm still wide awake, scrolling back through text messages. Found one from last month where I asked if she could pick up some groceries on her way home. Her response, "Can't you do it? Not like you have anything important going on today." I was installing a new water heater that day after ours went out. Apparently that wasn't important. Ever talk to your truck during long drives? I do. And driving Ramona to her 5:30 a.m. appointment Saturday, I had a real heart-to-heart with my old F-150. By the time I got back home, I knew what I needed to do. First call was to my buddy Maxwell. Known him since high school, works construction, divorced 3 years back, told him everything. No sugarcoating. His response, "Brother, you're not a dog. You're a goddamn workhorse they're riding into the ground while they laugh about it." Second call was to Ramon, my financial advisor. Turns out there's a lot of things you can do to protect yourself when you're married to someone who sees you as nothing more than a useful pet. The real kicker? Ramona has no idea how her daughter talks about me. Sweet woman actually thanked me yesterday. Had tears in her eyes when she said she didn't know what she'd do without my help. Told me I was the son she never had. Over this weekend, I've been real quiet. Denise hasn't noticed anything different, too busy with her social schedule to see the change in my eyes. But something's shifted inside me like a transmission dropping into low gear. Slow, powerful, unstoppable. Do y'all ever wonder how someone can share your bed for 8 years and not see you as a human being, worthy of basic respect? Because that's the question that's been keeping me up for 3 straight nights now. I'm helping Ramona again tomorrow morning. We'll keep driving her to appointments as long as she needs. But as for Denise, well, Let's just say this obedient dog is about to show her exactly what happens when you kick something loyal one too many times. Been researching my options, making plans, documenting everything. This isn't going to be some dramatic confrontation with shouting and door slamming. Nah, this is going to be precise, methodical, and by the book, like dismantling an engine piece by piece. Question for y'all. Has anyone else discovered their spouse secretly despises them? How did you handle it? Because right now, I'm wavering between ice-cold execution of the plan forming in my head and just straight up asking her if she really thinks I'm nothing but a pathetic dog. That's all I got for now. Next dialysis appointment is at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow. Gonna catch a few hours of sleep before the alarm goes off. We'll update when there's more to tell. Update 1. Look, for those just tuning in, about 2 weeks ago I posted about overhearing my wife Denise compare me to a pathetic, obedient dog while I've been driving her mom Ramona to dialysis appointments 3 times a week. If you want the full backstory, check my profile. But the TLDR is that I've been killing myself helping my mother-in-law, while my wife sits around mocking me with her friends behind my back. First off, holy smoke alarm, I wasn't expecting that kind of response to my post. Thanks to everyone who offered advice or just shared similar stories, helped me realize I wasn't overreacting, being too sensitive, which is what I was half expecting to hear. So what's happened since then? Buckle up, y'all. This engine's been running hot. Day 1 after post, contacted my bank, set up a separate account that Denise doesn't have access to, redirected my direct deposit to hit that account starting next pay period. I left enough in the joint account to cover our regular bills for now, not trying to leave her high and dry overnight, just making sure she can't drain our accounts when she realizes what's happening. Day 2, called Ramona's doctor's office and rescheduled her treatments to later in the day when possible. Explained the situation, minus the nasty details about Denise, to the receptionist, who is super understanding. Still have to do some early mornings, but got it down to once a week instead of 3 times. Denise noticed nothing, still scrolling through TikTok while I make dinner. Day 3, the confrontation. Wasn't planning on it happening so soon, but something in me just shifted gears. We were sitting at the kitchen table. She was half paying attention to something I was saying about the leaky bathroom faucet, and I just laid it out. Me. I heard what you said about me to your friends that night on the porch. Y'all should have seen how fast her head snapped up from her phone. Her eyes did this thing where they get real wide, then narrow down like she's calculating something. First, she tried denial. What are you talking about? You're being weird. Then when I specifically repeated the obedient dog comment, she switched to minimizing. Oh my god, it was just girl talk. Everyone vents about their partners. You're making a big deal out of nothing. I just stared at her, letting the silence fill up the room like coolant in an overheating. Then I asked her if she thought it was normal to compare your spouse to a pathetic animal while they're exhausting themselves helping your sick mother. That's when the water worked. Not genuine tears though, more like when you spray a little water on a hot pan and it sizzles up real dramatic like for a second before evaporating. She apologized, but it was one of those, I'm sorry you feel that way non-apologies that actually puts the blame on you for being hurt. Day 4, called her brother Reed. Always got along with him decent enough. Told him I needed to talk about something serious regarding Ramona's care. Met him for coffee, and played him the audio recording of that night. Yeah, I recorded it. After I first heard them on the porch, I went back outside, started the voice memo app on my phone, and set it near the open window before I went to take my shower. Texas is a one-party consent state for recordings, by the way. Checked that first. Reed's reaction was something else. Man went through about 5 different emotions in 30 seconds. Confusion, disbelief, anger, embarrassment, and finally this cold, hard disappointment. He asked for a copy of the recording. I sent it right there. Day 5, 7. Radio silence from Denise's family. Found out later that Reed played the recording for Ramona. According to him, his mom cried for an hour straight, then called Denise and tore into her like I've never heard Ramona talk to anyone. Meanwhile, at home, I implemented what some commenter called the gray rock method. Just became emotionally unavailable. No more cooking her favorite meals. No more picking up her messes. No more asking about her day. Didn't act angry or start fights. Just stopped putting in effort. Like an engine idling in neutral. Day 8. Denise came home with flowers and my favorite takeout. Tried to act all sweet, talking about how she wants us to reconnect and move past this rough patch. I ate the food, said thanks for dinner, and went to the spare bedroom where I've been sleeping. Later found 3 empty wine bottles in the recycling and heard her crying on the phone to Bridget. Funny thing about sound carrying through vents. Works both ways, doesn't it? Day 10. Called my sister Danielle. She's got a spare room at her place across town. We talked for nearly 2 hours, me laying out everything that's been happening. By the end, she offered her guest room for as long as you need it, no rush, no pressure. Started packing a bag here and there when Denise was out. Nothing obvious, just the important stuff. Documents, family photos, hard drive with all my data, the pocket knife my grandpa gave me, small enough things she wouldn't notice going missing. Day 12. This is where things got real interest. Denise's friend Bridget showed up at our door unannounced, asked if she could talk to me alone. Denise was at her weekly hair appointment, so I let her in, curious what this was about. Turns out, Bridget came to apologize, said she felt horrible about that night, that they were all drunk, and that she never should have said those things about me. Then she dropped a bombshell. Apparently Denise has been bad-mouthing me to her friends for months. Little comments here and there about how I'm simple and easy to manipulate, how she just has to flutter her eyelashes to get me to do whatever she wants. Asked Bridget why she was telling me this. Now? She said Reed had confronted her about the recording and it made her realize how toxic their whole friend dynamic had become, said she couldn't keep being part of it. I thanked her for her honesty, told her I appreciated the apology. After she left, I sat in my truck for an hour, just processing. Talked it out with the dashboard like I always do on long drives. Day 13, the execution day. Waited until Denise left for work. Took the day off, rented a small moving truck, had Maxwell and two other buddies come help. We cleared out exactly half of everything we owned together. Left her half neatly organized. Didn't trash anything or leave a mess, that's not my style. Wrote a simple note explaining that I was moving out, that I would continue to help Ramona with her appointments, but that our marriage was over. Said I'd be in touch through email about next steps. Got everything moved to Danielle's by 3 in the afternoon. Was sitting on her porch drinking iced tea when the texts started flooding in. First confusion, where are you? Where's your truck? Did something happen? Then realization, are you serious right now? You moved out without even talking to me? Then anger, you can't just leave like this is abandonment. I'll tell everyone what you did. Then bargaining, please come home. We can fix this. I'll go to counseling. I'll do whatever you want. I responded once and only once. I'm safe. I'm staying with family. I'll continue taking Ramona to her appointments. All other communication needs to go through email from now on. Then I muted her number. Day 14, today. Took Ramona to her appointment this morning. She held my hand in the waiting room and told me she was ashamed of how her daughter had treated me. Said no matter what happens between me and Denise, I'll always be family to her. Not gonna lie, y'all. That hit me right in the chest gasket. When I checked my email during the treatment, found Denise had sent 17 messages overnight. Everything from threats to heartfelt apologies to practical questions about bills. Speaking of bills, I paid my half of this month's mortgage and utilities, then removed my automatic payments from all our joint accounts. The car insurance, streaming services, premium cable package, and her hefty credit card minimum payments are all coming due next week. All things that used to automatically draw from my paycheck. All things she's never had to think about before. Called a divorce attorney this afternoon. Consultation scheduled for Monday. So that's where things stand now. I'm surprisingly calm for a guy whose life just got torn down to the frame and is being rebuilt from scratch. There's moments where it hits me, like when I went to make coffee this morning and realized I'd left my favorite mug behind. But mostly, I just feel unburdened, like I've been hauling around a trailer with faulty brakes for years, and suddenly it's unhooked and I can drive freely again. Denise's most recent text, I still check them, just don't respond, was, "You can't just throw away 8 years like they meant nothing. You owe me a conversation at least. Thing is, I'm not the one who threw those years away. I'm just the one who finally realized their true value to her. That's all I got for now, y'all. Ramona's got another appointment tomorrow afternoon, and I promised Danielle I'd fix her garbage disposal tonight in exchange for the room and board. Life goes on, one bolt at a time. Finally, update. Look, y'all, I wasn't planning on making another update so soon, but after what happened last night, figured I owed everyone who's been following this saga the conclusion. Fair warning, this is going to be a long one, so grab your coffee and settle in. When I last posted, Denise had just shown up at Danielle's house unexpectedly. What I didn't mention was that she seemed off. Not drunk exactly, but definitely not firing on all cylinders either. Danielle said she looked like she hadn't slept in days. Hair a mess, wearing what looked like pajama pants and a wrinkled blouse. Very un-Denise-like. My wife, soon-to-be ex, has always been the type to put on mascara just to check the mail. Day 15. Had that consultation with the attorney. Solid guy, straight shooter. Laid out all my options without trying to push for the most expensive approach. Since Texas is a community property state, the division of assets is pretty straightforward. We each get half of what we accumulated during marriage. The attorney seemed impressed that I'd already divided our household items fairly and documented everything with photos. Later that evening, got a text from Reed asking if we could meet. Grabbed coffee at that place near the hardware store. Reed looked stressed, deep circles under his eyes. Apparently, Denise had been calling him 20 times a day, alternating between sobbing and screaming. said she'd shown up at his apartment at midnight, pounding on the door and waking his kid. The kicker? She wanted him to convince Ramona to stop talking to me. Ramona, of course, told her daughter exactly where she could put that request. Day 16, 17. Relative quiet, almost eerie. No texts from Denise. Nothing on social media. Danielle joked that maybe Denise had been abducted by aliens, and I almost started to worry something was actually wrong. Should have known it was just the calm before the storm. Day 18. Took Ramona to her appointment. Good news. Her levels are improving, and the doctor's talking about possibly reducing treatments from 3 times weekly to twice weekly. Small victories. While in the waiting room, my phone blew up with notifications. Denise had gone nuclear on Facebook, posted this long dramatic status about how I'd abandoned her without warning, and how the man she trusted with her heart had betrayed her. Tagged mutual friends. Classic Darvo. Deny. Attack. Reverse victim and offender. The comments section, though, that's where things got interesting. People weren't buying it. Her brother Reed commented with just a single question mark. Bridget, to my surprise, replied that there are 2 sides to every story, and maybe people shouldn't rush to judgment. Then Maxwell, bless him, posted, "Funny how you left out the part where you called your hard-working husband a pathetic dog while he was driving your mother to dialysis." That comment got 37 likes before Denise deleted the entire post. Day 19. First time picking up more of my stuff from the house. Coordinated with Denise to do it while she was at work to avoid drama. Found the place a mess. Dishes piled up. Takeout containers everywhere. Clothes thrown across furniture. The sink was clogged, and it looked like she'd tried to fix it herself and given up halfway, leaving parts and tools scattered around. For a split second, I almost grabbed the wrench and fixed it out of habit. Caught myself. Not my problem any. While grabbing the last of my tools from the garage, got a text from an unknown number. Turned out to be Denise's friend Taylor, part of the Porch Wine crew. She was reaching out because she was worried about Denise and thought maybe I was being too harsh by cutting her off completely. Sent back a single message. Would you want to stay married to someone who laughed about you being pathetic and useless behind your back? Never got a response. Day 20, 21. Ramona invited me to Sunday dinner. Just her and me. Made her famous pot roast. We had a real heart-to-heart about everything. She apologized for raising a daughter who could be so cruel, which damn near broke me. Told her she had nothing to apologize for. Adult children make their own choices. Before I left, Ramona handed me a small box. Inside was her father's old pocket watch. Said she'd been saving it for the son she always wanted. I'm not much of a crier, but y'all, I had to sit in my truck for a good 10 minutes before I could drive home. Day 22. The rainstorm hit. Texas spring storms are no joke. Thunder that shakes the windows. Lightning turning night to day. Rain coming down like someone's dumping buckets. Around 9 p.m., I was helping Danielle fix a leak in her guest bathroom when headlights swept across the front windows. Denise's car pulled into the driveway, parking crooked across both spaces. Not a good sign. Danielle and I exchanged looks, and she whispered that she could call the cops if needed. I said, let's wait and see. We didn't have to wait long. Denise came storming up the front walk, completely soaked, no umbrella, no raincoat. Started pounding on the door like she was trying to break it down. When Danielle opened it, chain still on, Denise tried to push her way in, demanding to see me. Danielle, who's 5'2" but meaner than a wet cat when provoked, told her to back up or she'd call the police. Denise stepped back onto the porch but didn't leave. That's when the screaming started. Standing there in the pouring rain, mascara running down her face, Denise let loose with everything. How could I do this to her? 8 years meant nothing to me? I was cruel and heartless for cutting her off, without giving her a chance to explain or make things right. How she couldn't pay the credit card bill that just came due and they were charging her late fees. How her car needed new brakes but she couldn't afford it. How everyone was taking my side and she was losing all her friends. Not once, not a single time, did she actually apologize for what she'd said about me. I stood in the doorway, watching this woman I'd spent nearly a decade with completely fall apart on my sister's front porch. And the strangest thing happened. I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no pity. Just a calm certainty that I was watching someone else's problem unfold. Finally, when she paused to catch her breath, I spoke. Told her that I wasn't enjoying her pain, but I wasn't responsible for it either. That she'd shown me exactly who she was and how she saw me, and I was simply believing her. That adults face consequences for their choices, and these were hers. Then I said something that apparently hit harder than anything else. I told her that I would always make sure her mother was taken care of, even if Denise wouldn't or couldn't do it herself, because that's what decent humans do for each other. The look on her face, like I'd reached into her chest and twisted something. She just stood there, rain pouring down, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Then she whispered, I made one mistake, one stupid comment when I was drunk, and you're throwing away our whole marriage over it? That's when I played the ace I'd been holding. pulled out my phone, opened the voice memo, and played back not just the dog comment, but three more recordings from other occasions. Denise telling Bridget how she trained me to do the grocery shopping by pretending to be bad at it. Denise laughing about how I actually believed she was interested in my boring stories about my day. Denise bragging about how she could manipulate me into doing anything by just withholding for a few days. The color drained from her face. Asked me how long I'd been recording her. Told her I hadn't been, just happened to catch these few incidents once I started paying attention. Reminded her that Texas is a one-party consent state. She left without another word, just turned around, walked to her car in the pouring rain, and drove away. Day 23, 27 divorce proceedings officially started. Got a text from Reed that Denise had called their parents asking for money to help with bills. They refused. Apparently, she's looking for a roommate now because she can't afford our house on her own. Meanwhile, I found a small apartment not far from Ramona's place. Close enough to help with her appointments. Far enough from the old neighborhood to avoid running into Denise or her remaining friends. Danielle helped me move in yesterday. Place is small but manageable. Just me and my tools, which is all I really need right now. Day 28, today. Met with the mediator for our divorce. Denise showed up looking defeated. No more screaming, no more accusations, just quiet resignation. We hammered out the details in under 2 hours. She's keeping the house and the mortgage. I'm keeping my truck and tools. Split the savings 50-50. She didn't contest anything, which surprised both me and the mediator. As we were leaving, she asked if we could talk privately for a minute. Against my better judgment, I agreed. For the first time, she actually apologized. Not a sorry you feel that way, or sorry but you overreacted. A real apology. Said she'd been doing a lot of thinking and realized she'd taken me for granted for years. Said she never actually thought about what would happen if I wasn't there to fix everything, pay for everything, take care of everything. I thanked her for the apology, told her I hoped she found whatever she was looking for, and then I walked away. Driving home, talking to my dashboard like always, I realized something. For 8 years, I'd been the fixer, the guy who solved problems, who made things work, who kept the engine running smooth. Never occurred to me that sometimes the best fix is knowing when to walk away from a machine that can't be repaired. So that's where things stand, y'all. Divorce will be final in a couple months. Ramona's health is improving. Doctor says she might be a candidate for a kidney transplant next year. I've been spending weekends helping Maxwell with his deck project, payment being beer and barbecue, which is a fair trade in my book. Life ain't perfect. My apartment has this weird noise in the pipes that I can't quite figure out yet. The neighbor's dog barks at 5 a.m. every morning without fail. I still sometimes reach across the bed at night, expecting someone to be there. But for the first time in a long while, I'm not someone's tool or someone's dog. I'm just me, a guy with his own set of wrenches, figuring out how to rebuild an engine that got badly misused. That's all I got for now, y'all. Thanks for riding shotgun with me through all this.